You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. During the next hour, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, Chicago. Welcome to the Fully Alive radio program, which is the radio program of the Office of Human Dignity and Solidarity at the Archdiocese of Chicago. You are listening to Dawn Fitzpatrick and Ray Pingoy here in studio at our Quigley building downtown, properly social distanced, across the table, about 8 feet, and masked. Here we are to talk to you all about the Office of Human Dignity and Solidarity and some of the issues that are going on in Chicago. So how are you today, Ray?
I'm good. It's kind of, the snow is melting a little bit.
Yes,
We're
yes.
thawing out. Second week of Lent.
Well, it's nice to see, when there's sunshine, even if it is cold, at least the sunshine is uplifting.
Helps.
That's
Yeah.
for sure. That's for sure. But yes, all the snow melting in my yard is a good thing.
That
I'm
is
sure
a good
you
thing.
Feel
And
the same way.
I'm sure, unfortunately, also there's a lot of flooding in some basements out there
That's probably
as
true.
well. But yeah, like you said, when the sun is shining, things feel a little better, a little better.
I think so. And with that in mind, I think that God has really heard our prayers to help our nation overcome this pandemic that we're dealing with. The pandemic certainly has robbed millions of health and exposed people to the fact that we've had some racism and economic violence that can really deny people their God-given dignity. And it also appears we're kind of close to ending the death penalty, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
And I'm really excited because here in Chicago, we've closed an abortion clinic just recently.
Yes.
Due to, right during the pandemic, in the midst of people praying and asking God to have mercy on the souls of people that work there and certainly to help out, people who might think they need to seek an abortion. The great news is we actually closed one.
Praise the Lord,
It was a
yes.
Family Planning Associates over on Milwaukee Avenue near Jefferson Park. And to talk about that, we actually have someone who's been a prayer warrior and leading a campaign to close that clinic. And his name's Joe Lazar, and we have Joe on the phone. Welcome, Joe.
Good morning, Joe.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Dawn. Great to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I know, Joe, I think I met you 5 or 6 years ago. We were gathered in a kind of a conference trying to focus on ways to end abortion in Cook County. That's when I first met you, Joe. And you've been super involved in this. And we've developed something called Vision 2020. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what Vision 2020 is?
Sure. Well, it was it was hard, as it probably is with many movements or organizations, to figure out what you are at the beginning. What am I? What are we? And I think we're still figuring that out to some extent. But what I know we are is, and what I know we intend to do is to unite the pro-life community, to not have us working separately, but realizing that we're all working towards the same cause, which is to unequivocally end abortion and steer the moms and dads who are lured into the profit-driven abortion industry to bring them into, to provide options for them that are life-affirming.
Right,
so
right.
That I know we are. We intend to unite that community, and that's what we've been trying to do out on the sidewalk, which you were describing earlier.
Sure. Well, and it's interesting because a lot of the proponents of abortion will say that we don't care about anything except for stopping people from having an abortion. And I know there couldn't be anything further from the truth. And you're started to talk about that a little bit. helping the women to have options, to know that they're taken care of. I know your wife is a stenographer. Is that correct?
She is. Yeah, she was a nurse before we got married. She quit after we had our first child, and then now that we're homeschoolers, but she finds a couple of days a month to go to the Women's Center in Chicago and does volunteer ultrasounds to show moms who are considering abortion, to show them their child so that they can see life right before them. We have eyes. We were given these eyes, and God gave them for a reason. Sure. He knows that the things that we see affect our choices, and so that's really the whole purpose behind pregnancy centers, and specifically providing them the ultrasound. When they see their child, their face, they see the decision in a whole different light. And the Women's Center not only does that, but then if they choose life, which we all hope that they do, then they provide all the resources for them to make that as easy as possible for moms that are, maybe struggling or raising the child by themselves, perhaps.
Sure. Well, and it was just striking me as you're talking about the eyes that we have to see. I was kind of thinking of how, that ultrasound is almost like a sacrament in that it's a visible sign of an invisible reality. That if somebody can see the baby inside of them, they're more likely to say, "Wow, that's real. There's really a child inside of me."
Yeah.
So
Dawn, that's interesting, Dawn. That's a really interesting way to look at it that I didn't really consider. To be honest with you, that's interesting, and I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Right. And then that's what the sacraments do for us. They help us to see God through our senses. Ray and I often talk about theology of the body and how important our bodies are, and all of the gifts God has given us to sense things. And so it's so wonderful that we can take advantage of the technology and the eyes that God's given us to really see that human being in the womb. What a cool thing. So for your part in that, you have been leading, prayer opportunities in front of this abortion clinic, specifically on Milwaukee Avenue. Although I know you've done that in other places as well. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what those prayer opportunities have been like there on Milwaukee Avenue?
Sure. Well, yeah, they are very multifaceted. We certainly have, I'd say, the majority of people that come out to prayer vigils in front of abortion centers come to do just that, to offer prayer on the sidewalk so that they are a witness for the community, and perhaps just a prayerful witness for moms and dads approaching the abortion center for an appointment. Just the mere sight of someone quietly praying can and has absolutely had a profound effect on the community as well as those seeking abortion. But that's just one facet. The other facet that's been very powerful has been sidewalk counseling. We actually have a team we call Revive 365. It means that just speaks to reviving the culture of life, and we do it all year round. So 365, and so we've been out on as many of the open abortion center days at that location. We on Milwaukee Avenue. We're there. Praying, but then in between prayer, when we see someone coming out for an appointment, our counselors will actually go out of their way to approach them and say, "Hey, are you coming in today for an abortion? Can I talk to you? I've got, tell me a little bit about you and what. Let me give you some other options. Are you on the fence? How are you feeling today about this decision?" And from those counseling interactions, we know of at least 5 babies in the last year and a half that have been saved. I mean, we those are verified saves where the mom has told us, that our witness combined with her her making a personal choice, the Holy Spirit getting in the middle of things and persuading moms to choose life. That those moms have confirmed to us that they've decided to walk away from their appointment that day.
Wow,
so,
that's amazing.
Wow, it is. So tell me, how do they usually feel about you talking to them when you're out there? How do they react?
Well, I'll tell you about one specific reaction that I had that sticks out, which is I saw 2 very young girls coming out to seek abortion, clearly, and I approached them with one of the other sidewalk counselors, and they began to kind of feel, get a little defensive and sort of say, no, I'm not interested in talking to you. And we just move on. We just go right back to praying.
Okay.
And one of the girls was simply accompanying her friend to her abortion appointment. While that girl came back out and actually looked at me and the other sidewalk counselor and actually laughed in our face, trying to make it very obvious that she wanted to demean us. But we didn't even respond. And it wasn't but about 3 minutes later that she'd come back and said, hey, so what are you guys out here for? Like, what brings you to do this? And do you do this all the time? And why do you guys feel so strongly about this? And well, those questions turned into about a 2-hour conversation.
Wow.
Where we actually helped convince her to have her friend actually come outside, and they were actually considering walking away from the abortion. I'd actually, on that one situation, it sticks out because I'd actually offered to take that child into our home. And I showed her a picture of my family, and I said, look, these are my boys. These will be, siblings for this child.
Wow.
Well, it turns out both of the girls had two abortions, and that girl that we talked to on the sidewalk, had been very upfront actually. And after we broke down all of the fronts and the facades, she admitted very clearly she knew it was wrong, and she agreed with us actually, and said, and I tried to explain to her, hey, listen, this is, if you feel that way, well, I think God's giving you a chance today to maybe redeem yourself and make good on all of the things you've done, and go in and bring your friend out and let her know that there's an option for this baby right here.
Good.
Well, unfortunately, that mom didn't choose life. I will tell you the end of that story. So that wasn't one of the 5 babies that we saw saved, but that's okay. Perhaps that maybe led the way to another abortion decision that did end up in a life affirming conclusion. I pray.
Well, and and I think it's a blessing that of 5 that you've saved, but a lot of times in ministry, all we know is we've planted a seed, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't know how that seed will grow and what fruit will come of it, and you may never know. But that's what we're called to do. God asks us to plant those seeds. So I'm sure, Joe, that you've affected so many more than just the 5 that you know of. I know that there's a lot more out there. And it's also interesting, just the one thing that really stuck out to me about that story you just told is that, you are willing to take a child into your own home if necessary to save that child's life. And that you would be willing to give that kind of love, the parental love, to another in that way. That's another thing that we're accused of often is, none of you are going to adopt the baby. Well, that's so wrong. Of course, there's so many people I know that are in this kind of ministry that would gladly take a child in to their own home. So, thank you for offering that. That's really just a blessing as well.
Well, the plain and simple fact is it's what God deserves. It's just what He deserves, really. Of course, the mom and the child certainly deserves life, but I think it's one way that we can thank the Lord for our own life is by being a witness in these types of ways. And so,
Well, and there are just so many people that are willing, and not only willing, but are eager to adopt a child. So that's just another point that it would be great if we could get the mainstream media to talk about how many people are willing to adopt a child and wanting to. That maybe they have so much love to give and they can't have a child of their own. There's so many people like that. So that's just one of those things that would be nice if we could get the truth out there. We can do it in the ways we can, I suppose. So thanks for that. So it's just about time for a break. I'd like to, when you come back, we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing to celebrate this pro-life victory. So hang with us through the break.
Hero, the sun away. Amen. Amen. I'm alive because He lives. Amen. Amen. Let my soul.
Do you have a gently used laptop or desktop computer that is gathering dust in your home? Consider donating to our Catholic Charities Veterans Computer Project. We will clean out your device, give it new software, and repurpose it for a veteran who is looking for employment. Your gift will make an incredible difference in a veteran's ability to find a job. Catholic Charities provides veteran services throughout Lake and suburban Cook counties, giving participants an array of professional and personal support. Our veterans have served our country, and it is our privilege to serve them. To learn more about Catholic Charities Veterans Services and the Veterans Computer Project, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
Hello, I'm Cardinal Blaise Supich. I got my COVID-19 vaccination, and you should too. It took just a few seconds and was painless. The Food and Drug Administration determined the new vaccines are safe and effective, and the Holy See, as well as the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, has concluded getting the COVID-19 vaccine is an act of love of our neighbor and part of our moral responsibility for the common good. We have lived with the pandemic for many months, and I know we're all getting tired of it. Vaccination is one of the most important ways you can protect your health and the lives of those you love and help bring the pandemic under control. When it is your turn, I urge you to be vaccinated. And remember to do your part by wearing a mask, washing your hands, and watching your distance. Thank you, and God bless you all.
By the power of his blood. Amen.
Welcome back to the Fully Alive radio program, which is the radio show of the Office of Human Dignity and Solidarity at the Archdiocese of Chicago. You're listening to Dawn and Ray, we both work in the Respect Life Ministries area of the Office of Human Dignity and Solidarity. And on the phone with us is Joe Lazar, who has been a leader in the effort to pray and give witness to the sanctity of life outside of an abortion clinic on Milwaukee Avenue, Family Planning Associates, that recently closed. Joe was just telling us a few stories about what it was like to be out there and some of the people he's interacted with. And it seems to me, Joe, that you've had a whole lot of people join you. Is that true in these prayer efforts?
We have, yeah. We've had days during the 40 Days for Life vigils. Now, those are just during two periods of the year, for those that aren't familiar, fall and spring.
Mm-hmm.
But then throughout the year, it's a quiet, clandestine, what I call the Navy SEAL operation, where the sidewalk counselors
Sure.
are out, trying to talk to the moms. But during the vigils, yes, those are days we try to build up. We want the numbers up because we also, the other side of it is letting the community know that these profit-driven places of death are there, because a lot of people don't. And so we've had 50 to 70 people out, over the past year and a half at a given day out proclaiming life on the sidewalks, praying,
Sure.
And we've had pastors. There were about, I would say, a handful or more of pastors in Chicago who have, in the shadows, quietly tried to support our mission in various ways by inviting me to speak to their congregations, to host sign-ups after Mass, and some who have led rosaries out on the sidewalk boldly and bravely. And that's an important point. I think if you're listening to this and your pastor maybe doesn't talk much about life, or maybe they do, but, I would encourage you to invite them to not only start speaking about it, but maybe come out to a local vigil like ours. I mean, I'd invite Cardinal Supich himself to join us out on the sidewalk. Think of the powerful witness that would be of having a bishop, a pastor, or a cardinal out on a sidewalk counseling. I suspect
we have had them in the past. Bishop Rojas was very active with us doing this, and of course, Bishop Bartosik is going to be leading a celebratory mass this weekend, all about this topic. So they do, and we've also we have a priest advisory board for our office who is very active in this regard. And whenever we have a day, we usually take a day during the 40 Days for Life campaign for the office, and they come out with us too. So it's nice to know that we have a number of faithful out there, certainly,
I also want to take this moment as well to honor you, Joe, and all those people that go out there and just witness and just pray. Because as you mentioned, man, it just takes that prayer and that witness of just being there to start that conversation. You said from that one comment, it became like a 2-hour conversation with someone that's, it's transforming someone's heart. So we continue to pray and again honor those that are out there. And as you mentioned, Joe, it's not too late yet. Sign up. There's still a lot of opportunities to join the 40 Days for Life campaign.
Ray, you're right, and Don, and to your point, Don, you're right. A lot of clergy have joined us out on the sidewalk. I will say though, you asked about those days where people were out, and I have to say the days where we had the greatest turnouts were the days when a pastor showed up, and the leader really does set the tone. That's why I wanted to really. I would be not very quiet about those invitations if you're listening to this to your pastor or your priest or whoever it may be to come out, not just talk about it, but actually show up, just like Jesus did. He showed up, and he did things himself, and so it does a lot. It says a lot. The leader sets the tone.
Amen.
Well, we were there one day, I think it was last fall during the 40 Days campaign, and we had a priest with us from our priest advisory board, and a couple of homeless men in a car drove up. Were you there, Ray, when this happened?
That's right, yeah.
They drove up, and they started talking to us, and they were so moved by what we were doing, and these guys were living in this car, and they asked the priest with us if he would pray with them for deliverance from addiction, which I thought was, that was really something. And I think that maybe part of our mission that day was to help those two guys out, too, that we were able to witness, what we stand for, and that they actually asked for that kind of prayer, which was, kind of cool.
As you said, Joe, just to be out there is a great victory already, to be at witness.
And you have that computer store across the street that's been so supportive of your efforts.
I'm glad you brought that up, Dawn. I actually kind of forgot about it for a moment. That's what the story behind that is actually the first day we started that vigil, the owner of a computer shop across the street came out and asked if he could have one of our Pray to End Abortion signs. It's a big, prominent sign. It's not something that's going to get overlooked by any means. And he took the sign and placed it in his front window and has had it there every day since, taking immense risks upon himself. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to smash that window in the middle of the night if you don't like that sign. And yet he took that upon himself, and what a witness it was. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, well, I think that sometimes this type of effort brings out the best in people, and they realize that maybe there's more they could be doing. I think this is one of those types of prayer, types of ministries that people do have to get out of their comfort zone a little bit to get involved with. It takes a little effort. You're standing on a sidewalk. You are, talking to people who may not agree with you. But it's not a terrible thing if you're there with a few other people, right? And obviously it's something you love doing, Joe, because you're doing this, several days a week on occasion. So,
Yeah.
So it's just so important. And I always feel like, God calls us to try to do things that are uncomfortable sometimes.
And there's growth in that,
Yes.
when you get to those places where you feel uncomfortable, especially during this journey in our Lenten season right now. It's a great invitation for a lot of our listeners out there to get uncomfortable, to do something and be a witness to your faith, especially standing up for the unborn life out there that they need a voice.
Yep.
So God bless you, Joe, and all those who are really thinking of signing up. Yeah, there's great opportunities out there for the 40 days.
So knowing that abortion clinic is closed now, what's your plans for the future with this effort in your ministry, Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Don. The plan is to build up the Sidewalk Council team, to bring the Navy SEAL operation to a new abortion center. We haven't picked a site yet, but we're looking at a couple of things, and we are going to pick that. In fact, we're going to pick it this Sunday, which, as I'm sure you're planning to talk about a little, Dawn, but that marks the celebration mass for this closure, and we're going to announce it on Sunday, and we're going to go with that. Whatever we can the best location we could come up with. There's, sadly, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of choices.
Right.
And again, for those listening, I encourage you to stay tuned and find wherever we're going to be, come assemble with us. And if you can't, if sidewalk counseling is a little intimidating, that's okay. Coming out and praying is excellent. And if you can't do that for any reason, then please pray at home, or maybe skip a meal, maybe skip a dinner and fast and pray for us if you can, especially up to Good Friday.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, I absolutely consider that that's ammunition out on the battlefield. We can use that fasting and praying to do a lot.
For sure. So we don't have a whole lot of time left. So let's talk a minute about the celebration this Sunday. There will be a mass celebrated by Bishop Mark Bartosik at Our Lady of Victory Catholic Church, which is at 5212 West, is it Agatite Avenue in Chicago? That's in the Jefferson Park kind of area there. It's the closest church to where that abortion site is. And they were very supportive all through your efforts of prayer and fasting there. They've been a great place to hold signs for us and to encourage people to go over and pray with the 40 Days campaign and with all of the prayer campaigns you were running through the last few years over there. So we look forward to people joining us at 10:30 this Sunday, March 7th. But you do need to sign up. And how do they sign up to come to Mass?
Right. Actually, I'm looking at, if they go to ourladyofvictory.info website, that's the website, there's, let's see, right now, 51 available slots for the 10:30 a.m. Mass on March 7th. And if you're listening to this, can you help us fill every one of those slots? I'd love to see every one of those 140 people there helping us celebrate the Mass and also this victory.
And certainly, if you aren't able to come out to the Mass, you can also go to ourladyofvictory.info, and it will be live streamed. And soon after, we'll be also posting that on the Archdiocese Facebook page and probably on our webpage, too, at respectlifechicago.org. So lots of opportunities. Even if you watch the Mass after it's been celebrated, you can still pray with us. God's timeless, right? So we would appreciate that, and certainly we can all join together to thank Him for this victory. That's His.
Victory.
It's a victory of His that He certainly intervened to get that place to close down, and hopefully it's just a sign of more closures in the future.
Amen. Yeah.
And for those of you who are interested, you can how can they reach you, Joe, if people want to sign up to work with you or to learn more about sidewalk counseling?
Yeah, thanks, Dawn. They can go to our website, Vision 2020, it's 2020, so Vision 2020IL, like Illinois.org. They'll find information there on the Sidewalk Council team, vigil efforts, and we also have a Facebook page, which is Vision 2020 Cook County, the Action Network, and we're also now on Rumble posting our videos there of unique and special things that happen out on the vigil front. So I encourage you to look for Vision 2020 IL on Rumble as well.
Okay, great. And also there's, although we're not running a 40 Days campaign at that site since it's closed, there's other 40 Days for Life going on in the Chicago area. There's one up in Waukegan near the Planned Parenthood there. There's one down in Flossmoor near the Planned Parenthood there. And there's others in certainly the surrounding suburban areas as well, and out in Aurora. So if anyone is interested in joining a 40 Days campaign right now, you can simply go to 40daysforlife.org and find the one closest to you or the one that you'd like to attend.
Yes.
Okay. Well, listen, Joe, it has been just great to have you with us. We're looking forward to seeing you on Sunday at the Mass at Our Lady of Victory at 10:30 a.m. And we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking with Bob Gilligan, who's our executive director of the Catholic Conference, with a legislative update.
I was covered in sin and shame. I heard mercy call my name. He rolled the sun away. Amen. Amen. I'm alive because He lives.
Hey, it's Timothy Johnston here from Liturgy Training Publications. Over the past few months, I'm sure you've found yourself at home more, whether it's working from home or watching live stream masses on Sunday mornings. As we began adjusting to this at the beginning of the pandemic, one of the things I missed the most was gathering with friends at the parish. That's why we at LTP have created this new virtual gathering series called Living the Sunday Word. We meet virtually on Thursday evenings each week and reflect on the upcoming Sunday readings. And with that, we share stories to help us more fully reflect on the Word of God. I'm inviting each of you to join us, a group of friends meeting virtually from all parts of the country. So visit ltp.org for more information and to register. You won't want to miss this.
There is so much waiting for you at Catholic Charities Senior Services. We offer programs and services to help make the most of every day. Friendships and fun are guaranteed at our drop-in senior centers. Our adult daycare centers offer enjoyment and greater supervision to seniors who need it, while their caregivers get a break. Holy Family Villa provides a beautiful, safe environment for seniors looking for short or long-term residential facility. And we offer assistance with senior benefits, care coordination, congregate and home-delivered meals, hospital transition, and much more. For more than 100 years, we have accompanied seniors through every transition in their lives, and we are here for you now. Catholic Charities is a name and an agency you can trust. Call Senior Services today at 312-655-7700. That's 312-655-7700.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Every Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Archdiocese of Chicago presents programming about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
I was covered in sin and shame.
Welcome back to Fully Alive, the radio program of the Archdiocese of Chicago, Office of Human Dignity and Solidarity. You are listening to Dawn Fitzpatrick and Ray Pingoy. We are the Respect Life Ministries office at the Office of Human Dignity and Solidarity. Boy, that's a mouthful.
It is. It is. Good morning, everyone.
So we just finished a really interesting discussion with Joe Lazar,
Yeah, it was.
who has been managing a prayer effort for several years. And God has blessed us all and closed the abortion clinic where he was praying for years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the second time since I've been at the Archdiocese that we've done that he's done that, God's done that through our efforts. So that was it's just a blessing. And meanwhile, there's still a lot of work to do. And on the phone with us is somebody who also makes God's work his life, and that is Bob Gilligan, who's the executive director of the Catholic Conference of Illinois. Welcome, Bob.
Thanks, Don. Good to be here.
It's great to have you.
God bless you, Bob.
Hi, Ray. How are you?
Good.
So Bob is certainly no stranger to these radio airwaves. He has a show himself once a month here, and you talk about legislative things and things that are going on in Illinois, and that's what we're going to talk about now for the next few minutes. So I know that there's some scary stuff that was introduced recently, both in the House and the Senate, and we've even put together a coalition to fight it. So why don't you just talk a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, we have a big challenge in front of us, and we are going to put together a group of people to help meet that challenge. And what is happened is that legislation has been introduced, House Bill 1797, I think the number is right, and there's a Senate bill as well.
2190.
And what those two bills do is they essentially repeal the parental notification for abortion law in Illinois. And I think most listeners know that right now the law in Illinois requires a parent to be notified if a parent or guardian to be notified if their teen daughter goes in for an abortion. So the Illinois law is only notification.
Right.
There's not consent. Many states surrounding us have consent laws. The parent has to actually prove it. We don't even go that far.
But so that law is on the books. It's been on the books in effect since like 2003, I think it was. And, we've seen the number of abortions of teens decrease for the most part through that time period. But the pro-abortion lobby doesn't like that, and so they want to repeal that bill, that law. And so what you're alluding to is that we are assembling a group of parents and activists who are going to make their voice heard with basically kind of 3 or 4 messages. The first message is that, hey, parents have to give consent for just about everything in their child's life, and any parent out there who can relate to having a child in school or not even in school, our laws require parents' involvement in their children's lives in a number of different ways.
Sure.
Medicine, field trips, it goes on, and everybody knows what they are. And we think that the law should also require a parent to be notified if their underage child is seeking an abortion. So parents' rights are going to be a big, big theme of what we're talking about. But also in conversations with the larger group, we've discovered that there's a very valid concern out there for anybody who's concerned about human trafficking.
Sure.
And that laws like parental notification and parental consent, because of their very nature, provide at least some check that a parent may find out that their underage daughter is being trafficked. The statistics on the number of individuals being trafficked and parents don't even know about it is alarming.
Yeah.
And so we have been talking to some individuals who have founded not-for-profits and have done research in this area. We're going to lend their voice to make lawmakers aware that repeal of parental notification laws will increase the number of individuals being trafficked in this state. And then another platform that we will have, another message we will be sending is that I think most parents can relate to this one, is that children and individuals' brains are not fully formed until the age of 25.
Right.
Teens engage in risky behavior, and I think all of us over the age of maybe, 25 can relate to when we were kids and did things that were, we probably wouldn't do them today. And part of the reason is because kids being kids and who they are, is their brains are not necessarily providing those warning signals when risky behavior is in front of them not to do something. So that's the other theme of what we're going to be talking about. And those 3 messages we hope to get out there far and wide. And we hope that enough attention on those issues will persuade enough lawmakers not to support those bills I mentioned. That's what we're working on. Yeah.
So let's just talk for just a minute on the trafficking end. So we happen to be in a state here in the Midwest that is more permissive, we can say, in abortion than the states surrounding us. Is that true?
Yes, I think our laws are weaker. I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah. So therefore, and actually, in the last couple of years, the lawmakers in Illinois have actually kind of opened the floodgates for abortion here in Illinois, so to speak. And so states surrounding, like Missouri and Indiana and Wisconsin and Iowa, all have stricter laws. And so, would it be that some people from those states would bring girls here to have an abortion?
Flying over here, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I absolutely, and unfortunately, I think we see that happening today. And I think if we repeal parental notification, we will even see more of that. You're absolutely right. And what you had mentioned is that it's no secret that public money now goes to pay for abortions in Illinois. So it is possible to be from another state, come here, procure an abortion, go back, and we pay for it. That is possible. So, what I just described is not illegal. It can happen.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to prove to what extent it's happening because, unfortunately, I don't think the authorities really want to know the answer to that question. But it is attainable if they wanted to know. So, it's very frustrating that our lax laws are leading to numbers of deaths, and that's a sad state of affairs. So. That's another reason why we really want to be very vocal about repeal and making sure that this parental notification law is not repealed.
Sure, because of course, if those parents were notified that their daughter was brought to Illinois for this purpose, they might be able to do something about it. But otherwise, this could happen, and they would be none the wiser.
Right.
And heaven forbid that child has a complication in her abortion, and the parents don't know about it.
And that's an excellent point. Think about that. I mean, every parent knows, if your child is sick or acting maybe a little differently, don't you think you'd want to know why? I mean, we all can, I think, relate, or at least we can relate at some level to this is a very invasive procedure, and it has significant, emotional and mental and physical consequence. It can have sufficient physical consequences too, and so a child could go and have this procedure, and the parent would never even know. And then, why is my daughter acting so strangely? And like, what happened? And you seem to be fine, and the law does nothing to err on the side of a parent's right to know. I think any reasonable person looks at this and just shakes their head. At least most people I know have that reaction, but somehow or another, when you get into the building in Springfield, that thing seems like everything's upside down sometimes.
Sure. Well, I think part of the problem is there is a rhetoric out there that says this is a very simple procedure. It's not major surgery, which is wrong. I mean, you think about what's happening. Sure, they only keep them for a few hours and then they send them home. But that doesn't mean that major things aren't happening during that procedure. So,
Well, absolutely. I mean, how many dioceses out there have programs to deal with women who now later regret their abortion, and they wish they hadn't done it, and they wonder why they've had certain problems in their life, and they never could quite face it. I was just talking to somebody the other day that is exactly her story. She had an abortion at 16. And she kind of just ignored it, and she's had significant problems in her life dealing with things most of us can deal with. She had some substance abuse issues, and this person was telling me it wasn't until just very recently she thinks now that a lot of this can stem from that abortion she had when she was a child, and she never even realized it. And it's very sad. And look, we know these things happen, and as Catholics and as Christians, we know what our obligation is to reach out to people who have been hurt and try to repair that damage. And that's what a lot of what you do and a lot of what other faith communities do. And so why would we want to perpetuate more of that?
Exactly.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I can tell you that is one of the ministries of our office is Project Rachel.
Yeah.
And we do take calls from women who sometimes didn't realize why their life took this spiral downward, and then they finally realized it all went back to that abortion they had. And so we're, and when you're talking about a young girl whose brain isn't even formed yet, or completely formed, and she makes a decision like this without her parents even knowing, and then there's nobody there to help her through this, and the emotional, just damage that could occur. It's very frightening, to say the least. And then hopefully that young girl at some point can pick up the pieces of her life that her parents didn't even know she was going through. I mean, just unbelievable that we would want to perpetuate such a thing.
I agree, and like as adults, shouldn't we act as responsible individuals? What you're going to see, the dynamics of this issue that are going to play out is that the people that are proposing this law, they were going to be putting young people, young women, young girls out there, and they will say all these horror stories they had in trying to procure their abortion. And in essence, it boils down to many times that they didn't want to wait to go before a judge and use this, what they call judicial bypass. Or they felt inconvenienced. They had to travel great distances for their abortion. And so the dynamics of this that are going to play out is you're going to have very young people on one side espousing that there should be no parental notification law, and that what you and I, Don, have been working on is on the other side. We'll have, hopefully, a significant number of adults and parents saying, well, it's because parents need to know about things and are responsible for their children's actions. Well, and we have to reinforce that message.
Absolutely. Well, isn't it our job as parents? Yeah. And we can talk about that some more in just a second. It's time for a break, Bob.
Yeah,
but
sure.
We were just getting fired up. But everybody hang on, and we'll talk some more about this in just a minute.
By the power of his blood, amen, amen. I'm alive because he lives, amen, amen. Let because he lived.
We invite you to watch Catholic Chicago this weekend, featuring a conversation with Cardinal Blaise Cupich and video highlights from across the Archdiocese. Here's host Todd Williamson.
The effort to get vaccinated, why the Church is helping to spread the word. We'll go inside the classroom as a national study shows how Chicago's Catholic schools are keeping students on track during the pandemic. And too many people are going hungry. We'll visit a food pantry where Catholics are working to meet that need.
Watch Catholic Chicago Friday at 7 p.m. on Chicago Loop Cable, Channel 25, and Sunday afternoon at 3 on the Comcast Network, Channel 100.
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship program provides a free opportunity for youth living in Lake County to spend time, virtually, with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youths aged 9 to 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends and role models who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports each relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that is totally different from remote learning. Virtual group sessions help youth enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today. To learn more, call 312-937-3375. That's 312-937-3375.
Hello, I'm Cardinal Blaise Cupich. I got my COVID-19 vaccination, and you should too. It took just a few seconds and was painless. The Food and Drug Administration determined the new vaccines are safe and effective, and the Holy See, as well as the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, has concluded getting the COVID-19 vaccine is an act of love of our neighbor and part of our moral responsibility for the common good. We have lived with the pandemic for many months, and I know we're all getting tired of it. Vaccination is one of the most important ways you can protect your health and the lives of those you love and help bring the pandemic under control. When it is your turn, I urge you to be vaccinated. And remember to do your part by wearing a mask, washing your hands, and watching your distance. Thank you, and God bless you all.
I was dead in the grave. I was covered in sin and shame.
Welcome back. Thanks for hanging with us through that last break. Ray and I are talking to Bob Gilligan about a really disturbing legal proposal to our daughters of Illinois that would actually repeal the parental notification of abortion law that's currently in effect, which is really the only thing about abortion in Illinois that we have a good law about, I think. Is that true?
Not
Bob?
much left.
Right,
Yeah, I think
right.
so.
So anyway, we were just getting into what our job is as parents. I know, Ray and I do a lot of talks and theology of the body discussions, and one of the things about our vocation as parents is that we are the educators of our children, right? We're the primary educators of our children. Right. That's what our church teaches. So therefore, it's up to us to teach our children right from wrong and to guide them in the right direction. And the church would stand behind us and say, we can't take away a parent's rights or a parent's obligation to raise their children. And what this does is in effect say, parents, you don't matter. The child can do whatever they want, and you don't have to know about it, and you don't get a say. So that's
right.
Kind of frustrating. We've been talking, Bob, about recently there was a law enacted about tobacco, right, in this state. And,
That's right.
And what went on with that with parents and understanding about children?
they raised the age
Right.
from 18 to 21 in order to purchase cigarettes, tobacco products, and e-cigarettes. You have to be 21 to purchase a cigarette.
Which is, we know that cigarettes and e-cigarettes can be harmful to a person's health, certainly.
Right.
And that parents should be able to say, I don't want you to buy that. I don't want you to use that. How much worse is it that we're actually allowing a child, or that the suggestion is we should allow a child to make a life or death choice like abortion without any parental guidance? See, that just doesn't seem like we're thinking the same way here.
It makes no sense to any rational person. But
right.
I don't know. That's what they're trying to do.
You mentioned this, Bob, about, I mean, this isn't necessarily a notification or a consent. It's just a notification, right? The existing law. And even if, it's really a common sense thing where if there's some sort of a physical abuse happening in the family or something, there's the current law allows this minor girl to seek a judicial waiver of a notification, right? It's but yet they want to appeal that. It's
right. They don't like that. Right. It's an inconvenience. Yeah. They don't like that.
So how many times is a 15-year-old girl dating a man who's in his 20s and maybe the parents don't know about it? And and that man then can say, "Oh, you're pregnant. Well, we're just going to take care of that. Your parents don't even have to know."
Right.
I mean, that's one thing that could happen. It could also be that there's an older man who is using that girl to for other things, and the parents don't know, and now he's able to hide that evidence.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the tragic. Right. Yep. That's exactly where they're going.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and how many times does it happen that that a girl? I mean, has there been some statistics that a girl was abused and that she suffered poor consequences because her parents were notified? Is there any statistics on that?
No, and that's actually a very good question. I'm glad you brought this subject up. I would ask that if anybody listening to this has an experience with this law, if there's a parent or grandparent who had a daughter and was notified, and as a result of the notification, your daughter has now had a grandson or granddaughter, and it's worked out well, to please call Dawn's office, my office, because we would really like to be able to say to people, well, here's an example of where the law worked. My daughter went in for an abortion. I was notified. We talked about it. We decided to have the child, and here's the child. So if anybody out there has that personal experience, we would really like to talk to you if you're willing to come forth and share your story. Obviously, we understand this is a very sensitive subject, and it's not something that people want to necessarily talk about. But if you're willing, I would please urge you to call Dawn's office or my office, and we could talk about that further.
Well, you can reach my office at 312-534-5355, and you can certainly find information about us at respectlifechicago.org.
Yeah, and I'll just add for the time being, is the best way to get a hold of me is the number is 312-315-4621.
Okay, so that's one way people can help. How else can people get involved in this proposal?
Yeah, go to our website. We're putting out action alerts. We're going to be talking about next. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing a lot of things here with the bishops in the state of Illinois that we're going to be going under, that we will be undertaking. But I think if you want to know more about it, we highly recommend that you go to our website, which is www.ilcatholic.org. There is a fact sheet on that website. There are some an action alert that we'll urge you to conduct with your friends and your colleagues in your parish and that kind of thing. We're going to be putting this information out in the next couple weeks ahead, but I'll just tell you it's on there. I'd really appreciate if people could look at that fact sheet. It's a one-page fact sheet. It educates you a little bit about the major themes or the major subject of this issue, and it's be good to familiarize yourself with, for example, the number of abortions gone down, what the bill does, what it doesn't do. We have a list of things on there that require parental consent like Don, like you were saying, tattoos and cigarettes and other things that we have to get our consent for. Mm-hmm. So it's good to become familiar with the issue, get up to speed on it, so you know what you're talking about, and then make a phone call to your state rep, state senator, and urge them to vote no. And if you're so inclined, we're in the process of trying to set up some Zoom meetings with lawmakers. So any and all contact with a state rep, state senator is what we're going to be asking for in the next couple weeks ahead.
Yep, and it's really simple. If you go to the IllinoisCatholic.org website, you can. They've already got a letter written for you. You just say, yes, I want to send a letter to my representatives, and then you just put in your information, and then it goes right to your representatives and with your name on it. And I think the more of those we send, the more likely they are to say, wow, my constituents care about this, and I should be opposed to it. So that's an important thing.
Exactly. And it's the one thing, Don, you and I have talked about this, it's the one thing we have. We have grassroots support for what we are trying to do.
Right.
We can always get people to make phone calls and letters and that kind of thing. We may not have political influence, but we sure have the grassroots, and we got to use that. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing we really have.
Sure. So that's so important. Okay, so this is an important issue, and this is House Bill 1797, Senate Bill 2190. And we'd hope that those do not go into law this year. We're trying to keep those from turning into law. So if we can, if you all could spend a little time getting to know more about these proposals and work with us to prevent that from happening. So thanks, Bob, so much for joining us and helping us catch everybody up on that. Ray, I think you had something you wanted to share about some prayer opportunities with our immigration ministries.
That's right. Our immigration ministry has this beautiful Lenten campaign for immigration reform. So join us. Every Wednesday they have a rosary in multiple languages, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. If you want more information, of course, check us out on OHDS website. There'll be more information there. And hopefully you can join Wednesday rosary, 7 p.m.
Okay. So this has been an incredible morning show. I'd like to thank Joe Lazar for joining us, and once again invite you all to either come in person to the Mass for Celebration of Life at Our Lady of Victory Parish this Sunday. March 7th at 10:30 a.m., or go to Our Lady of Victory.info, and you can live stream that Mass or watch it after the fact. We'll also have it posted in various places on the Archdiocese Facebook pages and things like that after the fact. Thanks to Bob Gilligan for joining us and talking to us all about this disturbing legislation to repeal the parental notice of abortion law. And we will see you in April. Thanks for joining us.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.